It doesn't like to be hit.
No, it's getting it down here. That's wrong. That's picking up this.
Oh, okay. It doesn't like to use. Um, on this one.
One whenever we could just straight mic. Well, because it's USB, we could try USB. Try that. Let's leave it at that.
Hello. Hello.
So what we probably want to do is you, since Sean's remote, we want to probably listen in to make sure when Sean talks that we can hear him, that we can hear them on this stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Paula, can you hear me?
We can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Mike Wickers, Mayor of Cottonwood Heights. Today is Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, and this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council Business Meeting. I have asked our Assistant Fire Chief Riley Pilgrim if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
Of the United States of America.
Thank you, Chief Pilgrim. So I am going to request that we do a motion to amend our agenda, the order of our agenda, to move up our action items to the beginning, as we have a council member that needs to leave. So anything else I need to state, Shane, other than what I would accept that motion right now?
No, I would make that motion and appreciate the mayor's willingness.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the change and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Our first legislative or action item for this evening is item 6.1 on the agenda, which is consideration of resolution 2023-15, which is adopting a revised use policy and fee schedule for non-city use of Cottonwood Heights City Hall. We had a chance to discuss this item early in our work session. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Well, I made my comments at the work session, but I will just reiterate that I believe that our beautiful city hall should be a welcoming place to all of our residents and taxpayers. And so I don't really support some of the direction that this is going in. I would really like to see no fee for usage of meeting rooms when they are left in the exact condition that they were found in by residents of Cottonwood Heights. And I also am a little bit concerned about the community rooms not being available on the holidays, but I'm usually willing to support staff direction, and I hope that we can continue to weigh our decisions and our spending against what it means to our residents to be able to access their city hall and use it as they would like at no fee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burrell. At this point, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-15.
I would move that we approve resolution 2023-15.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Bracken and a motion and a second from Councilmember Burrell. Final questions, comments? I'll now call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. So I'm sorry, before we move on to our next legislative item, I failed to mention, we have our city manager, Tim Tingy, online with us, who's down at a conference in St. George. And we also have District 3 Council Member Sean Newell, who joining us online as well. I also wanted to excuse Councilmember Doug Peters from District 1, who has been battling some health issues over the last few weeks, and we want him to know that our thoughts and prayers are with him. Next, we have item 6.2, consideration of resolution 2023-16, approving and ratifying additional settlements in the national opioid litigation. We also had the opportunity to discuss this item in our work session earlier. Are there any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll get into, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-16.
I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2023-16.
Second.
A motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Bracken. Final questions, comments? Now call for the vote. Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
I'm going to abstain because I don't fully understand exactly all the implications.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Measure passes. Next is item 6.3, consideration of resolution 2023-17, consenting to reappointments to the Architectural Review Commission. We also discussed this item early in our work session. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I appreciate the work that they do. I'd move that we approve resolution 2023-17.
I will second that.
Thank you, and I agree with Councilmember Bracken. We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Bracken and a second from Councilmember Burrell. Final questions, comments? Now call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Item 6.4, consideration of resolution 2023-18 is consenting to an appointment to the Arts Council. We had the opportunity to discuss this earlier as well. Any questions or comments from the council?
I got to attend the wonderful Aspen Winds children's concert yesterday, and it was outstanding. And I really appreciate the Arts Council. They're just marvelous. So, yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Burrell.
Yes, so then I will motion to approve resolution 2023-18.
I'll second.
Okay. John can second.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Newell. Final questions, comments? Now call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
I will vote. Right, our last legislative item for this evening is consideration of resolution 2023-19, consenting to appointments to the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee. We also had the opportunity to discuss this in our work session earlier. Any questions, final questions or comments from the council?
No, I think it's wonderful that we have so many citizens that are willing and able to step up and serve in a variety of capacities. We certainly don't have a shortage of people who are qualified to do a variety of jobs. And I'd move we approve 2023-19.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Bracken and a second from Councilmember Newell. Final questions, comments?
Well, I would make the comment that I very much appreciate the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee. They've accomplished so many terrific things for our community, and I continue to want to see persons who have also a commitment to the walkability aspect, which is really not clearly stated in the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee goals, but it's something that I think our city can advance, whether we start a new committee or we see whether the PTOS committee wants to in earnest, look at active transportation and walkability for our city. And so to that end, I support the appointees that our city manager has identified. I'm sure that these two women will be a wonderful addition to the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee. So I will, let's see, are we, motioning or seconding?
Not yet,
I'll-
not yet. So
okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Bro. I appreciate that. At this point, I will entertain a motion to,
I thought we got
did
that.
we do that already? Yeah, that
Then
was
I think, am I given?
So now I'll
second?
call for the
Okay, yeah.
vote. Yep. So, Council Member Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes,
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Thank you for your patience and we'll excuse Council.
Thank you very much. I am signed on online. I will be listening. I do want to hear.
Okay, next is our city council committee reports. So once a month, our council gets the opportunity to talk about some of the things that they've been working on. So I will turn the time over for Councilmember Burrell.
thank you. We all, goes without saying, people, especially in District 4, whether you live at the south or northerly edge of that East Bench area, we're all watching and holding our breath about the spring runoff. We have had a few kind of sad consequences of the Mother Nature's unexpected movements related to water, and yet despite a condominium getting a lower level bill of water and some other challenges, it's been so commendable to see the community come together, as well as the police department and public works. They're all running at full tilt to be attentive and hopefully catch things before they get out of control. And so I won't spend a lot of time on that, but it's definitely on the forefront of my radar, and I've been working with residents and I'm doing all I can. I also want to mention that it's an exciting time with the Hillside Plaza acquisition. This is very much on the mind of many of my constituents. I got a fascinating email message from, I believe, a teenager, although this person didn't sign their name, but he, and I have some sense that it's a young man. He wanted me to make sure that that the council has it on the ballot this fall to give all residents a chance to vote on one of 10 options that we would like to see within the public space of the Hillside Plaza. I really was tickled that people are coming out of the woodwork to make their thoughts known about the Hillside Plaza acquisition. I understand we will be selecting a design consultation firm likely in the next month. This will be an important decision. So, I am going to urge staff to every single month in the newsletter give updates so people can understand what's happening, where the $14 million commitment, that we take that very seriously, the bonding for this space, and that we inform the public on a monthly basis exactly how things are coming along. Also, ranked choice voting was determined this afternoon for the 2023 election here in Cottonwood Heights, and so we will not be continuing with ranked choice voting. This has been something I also have gotten a lot of constituent input, and so though I am disappointed that we will not continue with the multi-year pilot program, I will, of course, do everything I can to support the election cycle. It's one of our greatest responsibilities as citizens to participate, to become, make sure that we are part of an elected, I should say an informed electorate, and that we do our very best with the not only performing the election as a city government, but also encouraging the highest levels of participation in our democratic representative democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burrell. Councilmember Newell.
Yes, I don't have a lot to report on. I'm on a couple of different committees here or councils for the city in addition to being my duties as a councilman. One of them is the Arts Council, and we have the Guys and Dolls coming up later this summer, which is a performance that is put on by artists and entertainers and folks from all over this valley. And it should be very entertaining. And we're really excited about this production because of the work that's going into it and the people, the professional people that are helping put this event on. Also, Saturday, for emergency preparedness, we have the Great Shakeout. And here in the Great Shakeout, it's to prepare in case we do have a massive earthquake event here on the Wasatch Front, where you can take different color ribbons and put them on your doors to determine the severity of any injuries or anything in your household, so that emergency services doesn't have to guess. They can actually see a message based on the ribbon that you have hanging on your doorway. And I've also wanted to kind of bring up again, the Neighborhood Watch Program. This is something that we're trying to get in as many neighborhoods as possible. One of our big initiatives here at the city is to create a very safe city. The safest cities list in the state of Utah came out, and I wanted to see Cottonwood Heights be on that list. So these are some of the things that we could do. That includes the Great Shakeout that we'll have this Saturday, but also looking at Neighborhood Watch and then some other things to do that we're working on to mitigate any issues where safety and the preparedness for incidents that Mother Nature may bring to us. I also serve on the budget committee, and we've been working on our city's budget, and our city is doing very well, so that everybody knows. But we're continuing to be conscious of the impact of the decisions made as a city, and also to make sure that we remain solvent as a city so that we can bring the best services that we possibly can to our citizenry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Newell. Let me just add a couple of things real quickly. Like Councilmember Burrell said, we this past week formally issued bonds to finalize the sale of the Hillside Plaza property. So the city now is the owner of the property. I'm not going to add a whole lot more to it right now, other than we are committed to involving our citizenry in determining what happens to this parcel. It's in our general plan has the term town square. It's the four corners of 2300 East and Fort Union, and so it's to us an important part of our city that we hope to have a piece to, or the ability to plan together with our citizenry what we want to put there. And we've got some great ideas already, and like Councilmember Burrell said, we will be engaging a partner to help us get going fairly quickly. The second thing is also piggybacking on with Councilmember Burrell, which is flood control, which we're all concerned about. I want you to know I talked very early in the process with the flood control manager for Salt Lake County. We've worked really closely with them, along with our Assistant Chief Police Paul Brenneman, who heads up our emergency management group here at the city. You know, one of the things that the flood control manager for the county mentioned early on is, you know, he said Mother Nature is really in charge of whether or not we're going to have flooding. We're going to do everything in our power to mitigate flood potential, which means that we're going to clear our streams. We're going to do everything that we can, that as the water comes down, that it comes down and doesn't flood. However, how quickly the water comes down is a different story, and that's up to how quickly it warms. If we stay cool for the next few weeks, that's actually not a positive, because then if we warm up too quickly at once, the water is going to come down and it's going to cause flooding. Our hope is that it will see some gradual warming, maybe some cool days, and then some more gradual warming, and that we can get that low and mid-level snowpack down, so that it can come down in a more orderly fashion. Just to give you an update, the city of Cottonwood Heights has sandbagged over 40,000 sandbags to date, which is amazing. And that's a call out to our citizenry. We have amazing people. You know, I was at the Public Works Yard on Saturday with Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson wanted to come and look at the operation. And so we showed her some of the things that we were doing. There's a young high school kid who almost every night was showing up to sandbag. Nothing for his home, but he was concerned to help people. And you would be shocked at how many people show up to just fill sandbags, to put them on pallets so people can come and grab them, just to help people be prepared. That's the type of people we have living in our city, and I'm proud to be a part of this amazing place. Anyway, and I just wanted to mention the Public Works Yard is open from 3 to 8 through Monday through Friday, and then from 8 to 2 on Saturday for our citizens to go and grab sandbags. And we have lots more sandbagging parties planned for specific areas, and we're grateful that our citizens are taking this matter seriously, because it's a serious matter. So thank you all that have been a part of it. Okay. Next, we have 5.0 now will be our citizen comment. This is a time for citizens to address the council considering whatever matters they desire. Each citizen speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Please review the public comment procedures on the last page of tonight's agenda. If you haven't filled out a public or a comment card, please do so and hand it to a staff member who can get it to me. When making comments, we request that you speak into the microphone so that your comments can be recorded, that you give your name, and that you avoid insulting language. The audience should also avoid expressions of support. The council is here to listen, but you also shouldn't expect it to engage in a back and forth. If you have questions, our staff will reach out to you. First card I have here is from Carol. I hope I say this correctly. Rudell. Hi, Carol.
I get called many things, so thank you for saying it correctly. So I'm Carol Rudell. I'm a resident of District 4 here in Cottonwood Heights, and I'm going to follow up to Councilmember Burrell's comments about voting. As someone who is frequently out of town and who struggles to be up early or home late to vote in person, I just want you to know how much I appreciate mail-in voting. It's an opportunity for me to voice my opinion and my vote, but it's also an opportunity for individuals who have disabilities, who are elderly, who are unable to get to voting places. Oftentimes they have difficulty in travel, and we'd like to think that our good neighbors who support us and come out to sandbag would also be offering rides, but we know that's not always the case. I'd love to offer a ride, but I'm not home to do it either. And people who are in wheelchairs often struggle to get into vehicles. And if you have a power chair, you aren't going to get into a vehicle. So the reality is folks that are elderly or have disabilities frequently just aren't able to get out to vote. And the by mail voting, I'll get the word right, really gives an opportunity for them to participate in their rights and in their voting, be that informed electorate, right? Oftentimes we think, oh, well, they can use UTA FlexTrans, the paratransit. Well, everybody's not eligible for that. Just because you're a certain age doesn't make you eligible. You have to apply. You have to go through an ADA review. It's not a simple, quick process. So I guess what I'm standing here to say is I really hope that we will continue by mail voting in Cottonwood Heights, because it gives every person here that opportunity, particularly people who don't have transportation and don't have a way to get to the voting place. So I just urge you to continue that. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate your comments. As an aside, Cottonwood Heights was the first city in the county to do mail-in voting as a pilot, and I think we saw our percentage of eligible voters almost double. So we're grateful for that process as well. Thank you. Next comment will be Mike Hansen.
I'd like to just make one, please come ahead, Mike, but I also want to say that in my view, society is judged on how they treat their most vulnerable. So thank you for being a voice for the most vulnerable.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing? It's good to be here tonight. Hoping speedy recovery to Council Peterson. Our family's thoughts and prayers are with him. As you know, I listen in pretty often, and tonight this afternoon I was at work and was listening to a work session, and ranked choice came up, and Council Bracken had talked about his decision. And one thing that I have learned through the ranked choice process and in running an election in ranked choice and in standard traditional format is that Scott is an authority. He knows a lot about this. And when I heard his decision, a thing stuck out at me, and it was faith and trust in the election system. And I think he was spot on that. And one of the things that kind of came back to me is I've been researching it this spring, and I've reached out to my council member, Councilman Newell, about some of the faults I had seen in this. And one of the things that comes to me is that we reiterate all the time that this is a pilot program. And it's a pilot program to collect data. And there's been some criticism by saying by not continuing with this, that we don't get to collect that data. However, we have laws in the state of Utah that will prevent us from collecting the data. So it's flawed from the beginning. Even though I support it and I feel like it's something that works good, until our state can figure out how to get all the data, we end up in a really funky situation with ranked choice. Also was kind of set back by the fact that there was some accusation, a little bit, I call it this, that we're not a forward moving body if we're not being part of ranked choice voting. And I don't believe that to be true. This city, this council has been very forward moving, and we just heard about that, about vote by mail and the significance that it brought to Cottonwood Heights and the large number of voter turnout we had with vote by mail. I don't believe that's even ever would be considered as something that we abandoned because of how successful it was. Again, I look at ranked choice is that if we can get the state to release the information that's protected, I'm all about it. But when we can't, and we really can't dissect this the way it should be, it is not something that really is a complete experiment. It's a partial experiment. I appreciate the deliberation and be able to hear about it. And I know that Scott's a very big proponent. He's worked really hard on trying to understand it, and I've relied on him really heavily, developed a pretty good friendship with him over that. I was somewhat set back, but again, his words, faith and trust in the election system, was really important, and it hit my heart pretty hard because that's really what it boils down to. I hope that we can continue in this next election cycle to have the ability to move faith and trust in the election system with our candidates and with our voters, and that this can truly be a nonpartisan election and not see this division that has been coming in. And we watch it in our neighboring cities. We compare ourselves all the time, the council does, to Sandy, and there's so much partisan politics that's rolling in that. It's really disheartening. If we're going to do it, then do it. But that takes a bigger level than this. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Our last comment card that I have is for Chanel Stewart. Hi, Chanel.
Hi, good evening. My name is Chanel Stewart. I do reside in District 3, and all of the citizens have the same comments tonight. I as well listened to the meeting earlier. It was the first time I was hearing that ranked choice voting was on the topic. And this is something that's very important to me. I find voting is something that should be important to every citizen. And this last year in the 2022 midterm election, it was important enough to me to be a election official at a voting center. I got to witness firsthand, after going through an extensive training on the election process here in Utah, and we didn't have any issues. There were no security issues. In fact, the only issue we had is a handful of people trying to vote twice. And of course, the system prevented that from happening. So I can assure you from my personal experience that the election system in Salt Lake County is secure. And in fact, Salt Lake County is a model for mail-in voting. So I know those are a little bit separate from ranked choice voting, but we are very secure and we haven't had any issues with that. Recently in this month, at the beginning of this month, I had the opportunity to speak on my experience as a voter that has voted in ranked choice voting, being a citizen here in Cottonwood Heights. Thank you for that. I spoke with the former Utah County Clerk, about my experience, and they had a little webinar that I was unfortunately not able to attend. But my experience was that it was great. My choice for mayor was, I did not vote for, but it was exciting to see my second choice come into second place and seeing that my process, my vote was counted and it worked. And that is ultimately what everyone else has experienced as well. As I stepped into this meeting, I did get a long email from the former Utah County Clerk with numerous studies about ranked choice voting actually working. I'm planning on submitting that to Representative Newell later today, as he's my councilman, so that the council can see all of that, even though at this point it doesn't really matter, since we have unfortunately decided to not use ranked choice voting, which I think citizens should have had more of an option and more of a voice to be able to decide in that. So that is my time, and thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Chanel. Appreciate you coming. So we have had some comments emailed to the council, and those we want you to know are on will be on the record. City Manager Tim Tingy, any other comments you want to make, Tim?
Yeah, as far as comments, there were, and I forwarded these names to you. I'm just pulling them up, and most of the names that sent in comments were, let me just pull them up real quickly here, were about ranked choice voting. So we had Lynn Krause had submitted comments on ranked choice voting, Carol Rudell and Frank Mylar. They all submitted comments that were forwarded to the council, but they're part of the record because they wanted them to be part of the record for this meeting. So I'm just letting you know that. Thank you.
You know, I never received the comment from Lynn Krause.
Yeah, she submitted that right before, pretty close to the time of the meeting, but I will forward that as we speak right now.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you. At this time, I'll close the citizen comment period. Item 5.0 on our agenda is our quarterly report from our police department. And we're going to have, so Chief, this is, and I apologize, I do not know Candy's last name.
It's Miss Candy Terry.
Candy Terry. So Candy Terry is going to give us the police report, the quarterly police report tonight. Hi, Candy.
Okay. Is that close enough to the mic? Is that good? Okay. All right. So we have the quarterly report tonight for March of 2023. There we go. Okay. So in March, we had, I should have brought a copy. Sorry. It's 15. What is that just popped up? Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. That's okay. That's great. So we had 1555 calls for service and 274 on view calls for officers. Okay. All right. And these are our calls for service by district. So District 1, we had 565. District 2 is 227. District 3 is 351. And District 4 is 277. And these are our average response times. As you can see, for response priority 1, we're writing around the 5.5 minute mark. These are our UCR crimes for March of 2023 compared to last year. As you can see, overall crime in Cottonwood Heights is down. These are our arrests for last month. We had 34 adult arrests and 6 juvenile. traffic citations, we had 267, 117 warnings, and 6 DUIs. These are citations by district. District 1 had 125, District 2, 59, District 3, 45, and District 4, 59. Accidents were up last month due to the snow. We did have 46 and 9 injuries. Here's our code enforcement. They had 105 calls for service and they issued 66 citations last month. Death, we had 3 attended and 1 unattended. And this is our 3 months in review going back to December to February, where everything is compared. As you can see, accidents were high in December, and they're just slowly going down, but unfortunately we did go back up last month. Here is the overall property crimes for March for Cottonwood Heights. Here is the property crimes for District 1. And District 2. There's District 3. And District 4. And these are the citations that were issued, our heat map for citations that were issued in March. You can see all of our hot zones. In March, we started our Citizens Academy, and these are just a couple of the photos. On the left, we have the couple of photos from our K-9 night, and on the right, we have photos from our traffic DUI night, where citizens were able to put on the DUI goggles and try to drive a golf cart out in our parking lot in a secure area, and see what it's like to drive the golf cart with goggles on. Did you want to add anything else to that?
What it does is the goggles simulate a DUI, legal DUI impairment. So they get to see how poorly that they can operate a motor vehicle when they get to do that. The Citizen Academy, that was probably the greatest thing we do in public outreach, because it gives us a direct connection to the citizens, and we get a lot of good feedback, and they get to actually see what we do, and they hear from them, and they have a better understanding of what it's like to do our job. And it's one of the greatest programs that we put forward. And in fact, so many people come through for more than once. So
Yes, they do.
they graduate in 2 weeks.
Next Wednesday, the 26th.
We'll have some treats. If you're around, you're all welcome to stop by and say hi.
I know our Representative Benyon participated. I know Councilman Burrell, we've had our council member, our council participate, and I would encourage anyone listening that if you haven't, it's a fascinating experience to learn difficult job that our police have, and I'll take them.
Thank you. And April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. So we just have a safety message in regards to the history of it, and then what types of child maltreatment, there's physical, sexual, emotional, and neglect, and what is the most difficult kind of abuse to substantiate, which is verbal abuse, and what abuse is the hardest to detect, which is emotional abuse. So we've got that. And are there any other questions?
No, I appreciate the report and brought up a lot of very important things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would just add probably that as things warm up, crime increases, right? People have more willing to venture outside late at night, and so we'll want our residents to pay extra attention and call our officers if needed.
You're exactly right. I was gonna say something about that as well. Kids are out of school. So the crime rate bumps, and then with the weather temperature and people get outside more, they're more prone to involve themselves in certain activities that come to our attention, but we will be prepared and ready.
Thank you, Candy, and thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Okay, our last item for this evening is just approval of our consent calendar, which is the minutes of our city council legislative work session on March 2nd, and then our city council work session and business meeting on April 4th. If I could get a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
The motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn our business meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you.